It's Kringle Time. Sit back and relax as we dive into a world of laughter and learning with the Kringle Brothers, reminding us that we are better together.
Hey,
Hey, and we are
welcome
better together.
everybody. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Kringle Time. I'm one of your hosts, Michael, and
And I'm the other host, Michael.
I was thinking AKA Herbie.
Well, you know,
But I want you to know, were you impressed that I got the right pointing right away? I'm finally
I
getting
know, isn't it
better at
amazing?
it. you know. So how was your week? Did you have a good week?
Good. You know now what I'm in the mood for?
What?
M&M's.
Are you really? You
I,
shouldn't
uh,
have said that. You know that that's one of my favorites.
what's your favorite M&M of all time?
The one in my mouth.
That's perfect. I love that
I,
answer.
I'll tell you that I had the M&M collection as a teacher, big time. Kids would bring me M&Ms because they knew that if they brought me a bag of M&Ms, that I would make cookies for that class on Thursday night, and then I would bring them in then Friday. So needless to say, I was making cookies like every Thursday night, M&M cookies, and that way, sometimes I'm coming home with 3 and 4 bags for 3 and 4 classes. But yeah, my favorite M&M, I'm not even sure you can get it anymore. They used to make dark chocolate raspberry M&M,
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
and those make phenomenal cookies.
Oh, I can only imagine. Never thought about putting those in cookies.
Oh, oh, Michael.
Now,
Very, very good.
now,
I know my cookies.
now, now, that'd be kind of fun too. Is why don't y'all go ahead and post your favorite flavor of M&Ms?
Oh, that would be good. Well,
That'd
we've
be
got
kind of
Doug's
fun.
on tonight, and Don's on, and Mike Connor's on after the world tour, and and Santa Charlie and Kevin. Who else do you see there?
Well,
John,
we got Bill
Frank.
Gorbett. We have Gary from East Tennessee who just finished Santaology 4. We
Oh,
are 3, excuse me. We have Charlie. Charlie, I still don't know why you're not seeing the chat on Facebook. I really can't answer that question for you.
oh.
Oh, Jenny's with us.
You know what? I'm really excited because Randy's here, but I don't want to. Well, we'll save that. Randy, we've got a treat for you tonight.
Oh, we have so much fun. We have Bubba with us and Frank Fields and John. Oh my goodness, all the old crew is here. Well, I hope everybody had a good time. For those that went down to Tennessee this past weekend for the Santa Summit, I hope you had a good time down there. The pictures looked fantastic.
Yeah, they do. Wish we could have been there. Maybe
I wish you
next
could
year if
have.
we're lucky.
Maybe.
Things would work out, kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But
We
I'm. Go ahead.
Oh, you'll never know where we'll pop up. So
Pop up like a Pop Tart. You know,
I love it. Pop it fresh.
it's so
Anyway,
awesome. Well, I'm excited tonight because we've got a wonderful Santa coming in. In fact, when I talk to him, he likes to go by the Kringle cousin. You
oh,
know,
we know what? Our family is open to all. So he is a
Oh,
cousin.
he is a cousin, definitely indeed. And so we want to talk about leather tonight. Leather's a big gig, with your belts and your boots and taking care of those and making sure, because I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of money in leather goods, you
Well, I
know.
think, well, you think about it. We had this conversation before. The first two things that a child notices about Santa are what? His boots
Boots,
and his
leather,
belt.
beard, yeah.
And before we even move up to the face, so it's great, and we're so honored to have our special guest with us, our Kringle cousin.
So would you please welcome Santa, Ken Kringle, artisan leathery man himself. There he
Hey!
is. Hey, welcome, Ken.
Oh, well, welcome. The, we up in Gatlinburg, we became the Kringle cousins from our famous dance routine.
That's right. We
That is
had
so
so
Yeah,
much
you
true.
guys
fun.
are brothers. I'm that distant cousin from
That was
you don't want to claim sometimes.
That was also when I
I'm trying to
tried to
think. Was
sing.
that? Did we do that during the
Yes.
Michael,
Talking about
Michael?
Michael. Yeah.
Well, you did see though, it was for next year at the family reunion. They're bringing in another live band,
Uh-oh.
Oh,
so we got to brush up on our dance moves.
that'll
We
be
can cause
great.
some more trouble.
That'll be more
Exactly.
trouble. So, hey, Ken, before we start talking about all the wonderful stuff that you make with leather and how you can help us to take care of our leather and preserve our investment that we make, tell us, how did you become Santa?
One of the other things that I do is I bought back in 2015. My dream was always to have 50 acres. And I even wrote stories when I was a child about having 50 acres in Colorado. Well, I got 35 acres, and it's just beautiful, beautiful piece of property. And I've always loved chestnut trees. And so I rented a bulldozer, bulldozed a few acres. I really hated pushing over my own trees because I love trees. So then I bought 25 more acres on the other side of town, and I've got two chestnut orchards.
Oh,
And
wow.
so during COVID, my wife said, you know, well, you ought to grow your beard out because I was an industrial engineer at the time, and I was able to work remote and wasn't going into the office for 2 years. We said, let's grow the beard out. She said, and we'll go to some of these little small towns and festivals as Mr. and Miss Claus and sell chestnuts roasting on an open fire, you know.
But he
So,
Yeah.
sings like you do too.
yeah, so I did not even, I was not even thinking about children at the time when I, got to be Santa Claus. And so I grew my beard out, and right around in here it was still dark, and I didn't know any better. I thought you had to be naturally gray to be a Santa Claus, and some guys had it and some guys didn't. I like, well, and so I developed this character, Ken Kringle, and that was Santa's brother. And I wear the suits with the Christmas wrapping paper and all that kind of stuff. And so I did a few things here and there. It's like, well, Santa gets a little too much eggnog, so I deliver all the presents. He gets all the credit. And so that's what I was doing. And I've been doing a thing at the place where I worked, and I was in my Ken Kringle outfit. My wife said, "Can you stop by Walmart and pick up a couple of grocery items?" I said, "Sure." Well, I was in kind of wearing my suit when I went in. And that year, we had nobody was in the Christmas spirit. We didn't even decorate. Uh, we had raised my wife's grandson from the time he was 2 until he was 12. And that November, we had given him back to his mother. She was like 4 years clean and sober, so we gave him back as a trial basis. Well, that was in November, and I always felt like I was called to make sure he made it to adolescence at least, teenagehood, and so not 2 weeks after that, I was walking through a Walmart as Ken Kringle, and there were these four couples, late '60s, early '70s, and they were standing right there in the lady section, just across from the produce. If you've ever been in a Walmart, and there was another lady that was late 20s, early 30s, and I suspected it was one of their daughters. And in her buggy was a 3 or 4 year old girl who was obviously special needs. She had a little mermaid umbrella, fully opened, and it was just her and that little umbrella in the back of the cart. And when I walked by, she got up on the edge of that cart, grabbed both hands, and was trying to get out of it and get to me. And as I walked by, I thought, that little girl did not see Santa's brother. She just saw Santa.
That's right.
And so I had a hat that I was going to buy with this big long curly one. It's actually over there, but I can't get to it. So anyway, I flipped that hat on. I went and knelt down beside her cart. And she just started talking to me and talking to me and telling me all kinds of stories. And we had the most amazing conversation. And out of I was focused in on her, but I could see out of my peripheral vision, we were surrounded in that Walmart with people with their cell phones out, everybody taking their pictures and recording and our encounter. And I used to do singing telegrams. Actually, did Santa back in 1981 as a singing messenger. uh, but but anyway, so I knew how to make a disappearance. Like poof, and you're gone. And so I went to cut down an aisle. I stuck my head back out of that aisle to blow her a kiss. By now, she's on the end of the buggy, still gripping the side, trying to get to me. And so I blew her a kiss, said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks. Merry Christmas," and I disappeared. And that encounter, like I said, nobody was in the Christmas spirit. I started watching YouTube videos. I saw stuff on Charles Howard. I saw a special they did when back when Santa Rick had cancer and stuff in the Northern Lights and his journey and all that. And found out, the Northern Lights Santa Academy was right there in Atlanta. and they had a spring session. And I said, I don't know why, I've got to go. I've got to check this out. I could not shake it. And my wife was a wallflower. I've been a radio disc jockey. I sang and danced in the Air Force. I toured Air Force bases. Been a singing telegram messenger. So I've been out there a lot. She's a wallflower. She said, "I'm not. This is your journey, not mine." And so I went to the spring session, and when I came back, she said, "There's something different about you." It took me 2 to 3 weeks to decompress from my first Santa school. And she said, "You know what? If you want to go in the fall, I'll go with you." And so together, both of us went that next fall. And one thing has led to another, and here I am. I always say, a lot of folks get asked to do a neighborhood party, or hey, can you fit in the suit, or this, that, and the other thing, and all, and they get the bug. And I always say that I was called to be Santa because I wasn't looking for it. It found me in a Walmart.
Yeah, definitely providential. Yeah, definitely. I love it. I love it. So next question: how did you get into leather? How did you get into being a leather artistry? Hopefully, I said that correctly.
Well, I was always in distribution. I've been a distribution supervisor. I've been a distribution center manager, and all this kind of stuff. But before I became a distribution center manager, I'd worked my way up through the ranks, and I worked for the Bombay Company, which was headquartered in Fort Worth. Well, their vice president left Bombay and went to work for Tandy Leather out at their headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas. And they needed a distribution center manager, so he knew me from our relationship at Bombay. He said, "Would you be willing to relocate out here and take over this warehouse? And we need some help." So I went out there and became the distribution center manager for Tandy Leather. And so I was a distribution guy, not a leather guy. And so a lot of the product development folks and all, they said, "You know what? If you're going to be shipping all this stuff, it'd be good for you to learn how to craft leather and that type of thing." And so they went and picked out all these tools. As a matter of fact, some of those tools, I don't know if you can see them back over here.
Yeah.
And this is just one set. I mean, I've added to it since then. But they went and said, "Okay, well, you need a shader, you need this, and you need that, and you need a camo tool, you need all these different tools, and a hammer, and you need a piece of marble." As a matter of fact, this piece of marble right here on my desk, I got this in 1998 from Tandy Leather that was given to me so that I could learn how to do leather. And so mostly at the time I was doing key fobs, wallet kits, credit card holders, just, money clips, those kind of projects, because we shipped a lot of stuff to camps, summer camp where they would do a leather craft and that kind of thing. And so I started tooling leather to kind of learn about what I was shipping.
Fun.
Wow.
And so when I became Santa Claus, I said, "You know what? I'm going to get my tools and I'm going to make my own belt." And at the time, I told that to the Santa Rick at Northern Lights. He said, "Ken, this is your first year. You're trying to get this going. We got some vendors that sell some great belts. You're biting off more than you can chew." And I said, "I can do this. I know it." And so mostly tool leather. I didn't actually carve it. So I didn't start carving until 2020. And so this is the first belt that I made for myself, my very first season. And so this is a design I made. And so that first year or so, I was thinking, that's kind of special because what I do is I draw it on parchment paper. Because you wouldn't believe how many times I messed up a stupid holly leaf. Some of them were skinny and long, and to get the proportion where it met my eye right. And if you kind of erase on printer paper or something like that, it fuzzes up. But the parchment paper is kind of waxy, so you can do it and redo it and all. And so all this was stuff that I drew out by hand, and it was the only one like it in the world. And so I kind of felt, I don't know, special, if you will.
Yeah.
that was unique. And so some of the other Santas saw it online and said, "Oh, I'd love to have one. Where'd you get it?" I said, "I made it." Said, "Could you make me one?" And so I was kind of thinking to myself, "I'm special. I'm unique. Nobody has one like this. Do I keep this to myself?" And then I had a conversation with myself saying, when I put that belt, y'all talked about the intro, boots, belts, beard. So when you feel like Santa, when you feel authentic, I know I perform better. And I was
Yes.
thinking to myself, it's selfish of me to keep this to myself, and that if I can help another Santa have a better performance because he feels better about his look and his authenticity, and that's how I started. So I started sharing that and doing it, and that's how I've come to have Ken Kringle Creations.
That's
Oh, I
amazing.
love it. Herbie.
Well, so okay, so cousin Ken, what makes a true Santa belt different from just a regular costume belt?
Well, and I'll talk about one, not necessarily the vinyl belt. We all know that's fake, and I'll grab a piece of leather right here. And what makes kind of what I do different than what you get off the shelf a lot of times is leather has I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has a thickness. So if you're going to do a little wallet like this, for instance, that leather is going to be a lot thinner. So leather comes in something called weight, and what that is kind of how a 12 by 12 square of leather, how much does it weigh when you put it on a scale? And so obviously the thicker the leather, the more it weighs. And so I
Right.
make my belts out of something called 9 ounce leather. And these little things like here would be like, uh, 3 or 4 ounce leather. And so I use something called top grain. And so a lot of people mistake top grain saying, "Oh, that's top of the line." Well, top grain leather is the real outer skin of the cow or the bull or whatever you're working with, and and that has a lot of inherent strength. I mean, they pull wagons across the prairie with leather and stuff tied to oxen and things. So that outer band is super super strong when it's dry. The one thing about that though is cows live out in nature. They hit briars, they get flies and tick bites. When they start feeding them grain, they get fat quick and they have stretch marks in them. So your top grain will actually have various imperfections in it. And so a lot of mass producers and that type of thing, they want to sell everything, shoop, just they run it through an embosser, whoop, right down the assembly line, and they want everything to be repeatable, no blemishes, no anything. And so what they do is there's a machine that will actually split leather. For instance, if you had your leather isn't going to be the same thickness naturally. And so they'll run this through a splitter and it'll split off the little imperfections so that it's has a consistent thickness. And so what a lot of your I call them manufactured store bought kind of belts, what they do is they cut that top grain off because that's what has all the natural imperfections from the cow living out in the pasture.
Right.
And when they do that, now they've got pristine leather underneath there. There's no blemishes, no tick bites, no barbed
Great.
wire, no briars, nothing like that. The one thing though is this is where your strength is. So it's a give and take. Because if you look under here, you can see, I don't know if you pick that up on the camera, but you see how fuzzy that is?
Yeah.
And so what happens is you cut this part off here, and now you got this fuzzy, short fiber leather that I think, Mike, you told me yours lasted a few years and started like just almost wanting to fall apart. That's why, because they cut off the part that has the strength to make it more perfect. But I want my belts to stand to the test of time, and the belt that Santa would have made, and that's my approach. I try to make stuff that looks like Santa sat there at his shop. Well, I have my bench right here, that Santa would have made it himself back in 1788, and he would have used top grain leather. So it
Right.
may have an imperfection here and there, but it will stand the test of time. Like I said, that belt that I just showed you there, I've been using that for 5 years, and you'd be hard pressed to tell it's been worn at all.
Wow.
Wow.
Now there was so I mean he just I'm looking at my notes and it's like, well, he just all right, that one answered. That one quality got answered. What elements make a high quality? Okay, that
Well,
one got answered. I didn't ask that question. How important? So what are common mistakes that Santas will usually make when they choose a belt? So in other words, here's a Santa, oh, I want a belt, and then what are some things that they probably don't think about when they purchase that belt?
well, one of the things, a lot of times when you purchase a belt, it has to go for a range. Like, when I made your belt, I had you measure your old belt from the bend back. And what I'm talking about on the bend back is, you have this part here on the back. This is where it bends. So from there, I had you measure it to the hole that you put your prong in the most. And then I make it to the nearest half inch. So it's custom to you. But but let's say you have somebody with a 34-inch waist, a 34 and a half, a 35, and I got Santa's. One of the largest I did was like 72-inch waist, and so if you went there for in half-inch increments, nobody can carry that many belts on a rack. You see the vendors that, like even
Yeah.
Spangle when he goes to school Santas, he's not going to have everything to the half inch. He doesn't have the space and to carry the inventory. And so sometimes it's, you may you're on the bottom of this range or the top of this range, and so your belt may have a little flap out there.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things, and you could potentially cut some of that off, and believe it or not, if it's a black belt, you could dress it up with a Sharpie marker. You don't have to go out and buy glue and all. So trying to get that right fit is one of the first things, and the second thing is the buckle that you attach to it. And what I always recommend is a buckle like this. This is called a center post buckle, and this acts when you put it on, your belt is going to tuck back in behind this. It's going to tuck back in behind there, and what that'll do is that'll keep the flap out here down without needing a keeper. And a keeper is just that little thing on the end of your
Yeah. That little
belt
loop.
here to kind of keep it hidden in there. But some Santa suits, the belt loops are in different places on the suit. Some people want to wear it with a vest. And some people have big buckles like this. I mean, you may wind up with a buckle like that, and you could even potentially have a two-prong that's only this big. So that's a big difference in size. So where do you put the keeper? And so some people put it on elastic and stuff, and it floats around and gets cockeyed. And so using a center post buckle eliminates the need for a keeper. So it's going to keep you much neater in a picture. Second thing, the center post buckle, when the belt comes through here, let me hold that up. Yep. When the belt comes through here and you put the prong on there and then it folds back down in here, that center post buckle, you've got the belt coming through here and the belt coming through here, so it stays straighter. One of the things that I see, Santas, we like to post pictures of ourselves online. We have to, it's hard to not be, I don't want to say narcissistic, but you have to promote yourself. You have to put your pictures out on social media to be successful.
Right.
And so, a lot of times I see Santas, hey, don't I look great? And their buckle's like this, or it's off to the side. And so the center post buckle helps that stay more straight. I hate seeing a Santa with a picture with a buckle turned like that.
Right. Because then you wonder if they're one leg shorter than the other.
Could be. Or they eat a lot of lean beef.
That's right. That was one of my jokes that you were going to do.
Oh,
I got from Bruce. Bruce says, "What do you call a cow with only two legs? Lean beef."
Lean beef.
Right? Yeah. So
How about no legs? Ground beef.
oh,
Oh,
well,
wait till we get to the joke of the day. Now, I've got buckles like these, and you can use them, and they look good. But the reason I don't necessarily recommend them is this little prong back here. I don't know if you pick that up as I
yep.
turn this around a little bit. It's welded, and you probably can't see that little weld. But when it's welded to there, and it's probably made over in China where metallurgy is sometimes not their strong suit. You know, they make it cheap, but they may not make it good. Uh, I've talked to probably 4 or 5 Santas that during an event, this little prong has broken off. And guess what
Oh,
happens? Your belt won't stay locked. And at the spring, I was teaching at the spring session, and I was talking to a guy, and this very buckle right here, it's on one of the everyday belts I make, and on the back of this little ball is actually pinged into another piece of brass here. And he was saying, "Well, I use those things, and I've been doing this for like 3 years, and I've never had a problem." It wasn't 5, 10 minutes. This ball popped off my belt, and the belt wouldn't close. Now my belt's hanging open. And I said, "You jinxed me." I had to go upstairs and change belts. But if you're in the middle of a photo shoot and that happens, and you don't have a backup, now I normally carry 3 or 4 belts with me all the time. If y'all ever saw that post I made with all the stuff in my back
yeah,
of my car,
yeah.
three or
Well,
four suits, 5 vests, 3 belts, 2 pair of boots.
that's
But
like
if you
Santa
don't put
without suspenders. You know.
Yeah, I got 2 pairs of suspenders, but you know, if you have a malfunction on your buckle, and if you're at the mall, you got a line, you got to get out of there, or it's going to be sideways, or you're going to be trying to hold it in place, and so I always recommend a center post buckle, and then the other option that I find would be acceptable is something like this that has 2 prongs, because those 2 prongs are going to go into 2 holes, and that'll keep it straight for you. The only downside to most of these is you compare the size of this buckle in a photograph and then the size of that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not nearly as impressive. But if you like it, and if it goes with your look and everything, then these will stay straight as well. So that would probably be the number one biggest recommendation I would have, Michael, is go for a center post buckle. But to each his own.
now, Ken,
And any of the vendors out there, that's just my opinion.
well, you know, everybody has a different take and everybody has a different style. It's just a point of getting used to it, and it's good that you're putting your own opinion out there. Now, I have, out of the belts that you've made, what seems to be the average size? I know for me personally, because, well, let's be honest, my cookie zone is rather large. I use a 4-inch belt. But does that seem to be the common among the claws community? 4-inch belts or threes or?
Oh, you're talking about the width.
Yes.
I was thinking length.
Well, I wish there's only 4, but anyway.
Well, well, you know, I've got everyday belts that are 1.5 inches, and they go all the way up to 4 inches.
Okay.
And I've done them for 3 inch wide. I've done 3 1/4. I've done 3 1/2 and 4. I've never done 3 3/4. But I did one for. I've done one for a Santa that had an antique buckle, and it was only 3 inches wide. But he wanted my 4 inch design, and so I actually had to get smaller tools, because one of the things, you know, if I have a round point on the belt, I have to go around that circle, and with a straight tool, that's very very tedious and tricky, and so I had to actually get some smaller tools to make that bend in the belt.
Wow.
But I've done them everywhere from 3 to 4 inches and 1.5 inches on everyday belts.
Oh, well, and just to go here too is because since we're talking about belt buckles and belts and stuff, Ever posted a question here, Ken, that says, that large center post buckle you demonstrated tends to wear on the top edge of my belt. It makes a black belt look gray on the edge. What do you suggest for that? Sharpie marker?
Well, one of the things that you can do, believe it or not, sandpaper. You can actually sand that down just a little bit and make it a little more narrow. And then what I'll do is if you don't want to buy a small bottle of Phoebe's, which is going to be probably $14, a black Sharpie marker will work. And then you can put a little beeswax or something on that and smooth it down real good. Take a pair of denim jeans and buff that down a little bit so that it helps reduce that fuzzing on there.
Awesome.
Okay, and the second question comes from Thomas Myers. He says, I have a parade belt buckle that's missing the bar to buckle it. Where can I get a replacement or get it replaced?
One of the folks that I use a lot of, and I don't want to say any particular vendor because, and I don't know that you would get. He's missing the bar in it.
That's what he says.
That sounds like a welding issue. And I know in my town I have some local welders, so if you want to save it, that's probably somebody that works with metal and can weld that. I would want to test it out for a good bit so that you don't have a wardrobe malfunction. But I get a lot of my stuff from Santa Wade. You know, Spangle has stuff out there, and there's a lot of vendors. I don't want to specify one vendor. But I would look on just a simple Google search, and I do know the Northern Light Santa Academy has a resources page, so you can look on there, and it'll feed you to a lot of them. But call up Spangle the Clown and see what he may have available, and he's a sponsor of the network, and also he would be a good resource as well.
And one final question before we go into break, and that comes from Thomas Sharon. What is VAT dyed, and is this better? Is this a better way?
I'm not understanding that question. What?
I think what he's referring to is
I can put it up on the screen for you.
Yep.
I don't do a lot of vat dyeing. Vat dyeing is a process where they go ahead and pre-dye the leather for you, and this is used a lot in people who make belts for suits and everyday wear belts, and they already wanted a consistent color. A lot of times, vat dyeing is going to give you more consistent, very similar to dip dyeing. It's going to give you more consistent coloration. Once again, leather being imperfect, it may not be, but it does a much better job of that. But I dye all my stuff. I generally use sheepskin and put it on there. But I use something called Pro Dye. And what Pro Dye does is no matter how many kind of coats, it's not going to get, it's not going to change its shade. And so I put it on there very thick because I also want it to get down in the leather. So if it gets scratched and different things like that. And so I hand dial mine because I use veg tan leather. And the reason I use veg tan is I'm able to tool it. It comes, this color right here. And so any color that Phoebe's or Angelus make, I can make this any color I want to.
Right.
Whereas it's vat dyed and you buy a chunk of it, everything's going to be that one color.
Well, before we run the break, let's go back to Tom's question a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up for him. He said it's not the welding issue. He said the center bar is there,
Okay.
but the crossbar that wraps around it's missing.
Oh, well, I have never had to buy one of those, but it would seem to me you could check the Weaver Leather Supply, but most of their stuff is not going to be for a Santa size buckle. Some of the biggest stuff they normally have is 1.5 inches. I would maybe see if I could find some kind of artisan in wherever you live, or someone that could make that for you. The good point about that, though, is most of that is going to be hidden from view. Only the little part that comes up And if it's, say, a black belt and you have that blued or blackened, you'll probably be just fine. But you're going to have to probably, I don't know of a source of that, so you probably have to have that, fabricated for you. And then to finish off the difference in pro dye and this is like a regular leather dye, getting back to the vat dye in question, this particular dye here, the more you put on, the darker it gets. And so this is good for when you're doing a project where you want the outside to be darker than the inside. And so the more you put on, the darker it gets. And so you can make it an old world kind of thing. So I use a couple of different dyes based on the project I'm doing. And that's why I don't use vat dyed leather. But if you're just cranking out 1.5-inch belts for, kind of mass producing as a belt maker, then that's a good use for that leather.
Well, let's go ahead. We'll take our break, and then when we come back, let's talk about caring for the leather. All right? So here we go.
Since 1948, one suit defined Santa. Designed by Charles W. Howard and worn by the world-famous Santa Claus School. Worn for presidents, movies, parades, and the most magical moments in families' lives. This is not a costume, but finely tailored, hand-sewn clothing made in the USA. With expert cleaning, restoration, and storage services available, Santa & Company, LLC makes Santa magical.
Are you going crazy managing clients, contracts, and invoices? Kringle Tracker is here to help you. Stay organized with ease. Keep your sanity in check with Kringle Tracker's intuitive tools to effectively manage your schedule and clients. Our seamless, customizable contract system allows you to tailor your contracts to you and your clients' needs. Prepare for tax time like a pro by tracking your income and expenses and generate reports to make it a breeze. Transform your claws business by signing up for a free 20-day trial. Kringle Tracker was created by a Claus for the Claus community so you can focus on making magical memories for your clients. Head over to kringletracker.com and sign up for your free trial today.
We're back.
I am so glad we changed the music to Larry's.
Thank you. I did that this week. There's a few things else.
Did you see my comment about the Kringle Tractor with Roger Minton the other day?
No.
I said, the Kringle Tractor, created by the Minton State Santa.
No. It wasn't created. That was Roger's gig.
Don't you get it?
I didn't say the Minton State. I said the Minton State Santa.
Oh, nice.
Oh, my goodness.
That's good, Ken. That's really good.
It should have been in marketing.
Well, for the next segment of the show, we are getting some of the questions in the chat here and talking about caring for your leather, which sounds just really weird to say.
I see one right up there that about the stain on the belt doesn't rub off. So that kind of comes under caring for the leather a little bit, and that's one of the big problems. Especially if leather gets wet, even the finest Italian shoes are going to have what we call rub off. That dye is just going to kind of, a lot of times, going to come off. And it's especially if you do a lot of parades and outdoor events where you're in weather, that is way bad. You're going to, it's hard to stop that from bleeding. But here's what I do on mine. And I've tried different products and things, but if you can see this right here, this is a product called Resolene. Now, you don't have to get it in this size. It comes in this little small size too, but I use a lot of it. And this is my new bottle. This is my old bottle. I use a lot of Resolene. And Resolene is an acrylic finish. And what I have found, and the other thing about this, even though it's acrylic, you can dilute this up to 50-50 with water. And I normally do that, at least 25% water with this. And the reason I do that is when I apply it, you can get like little bubbles and things in there, especially when you're using it full strength. And if it dries, because it's an acrylic, it'll leave little bubble circles on your leather. By mixing this with a little bit of water, I just put on more thin coats, and it keeps that bubbling down. The other thing you can do is you can buff this up to a pretty high gloss finish. Now, with this being an acrylic, it will seal the leather. It'll stop it from rubbing off. And so the process when I make a belt is I buff it down real good with a white cloth until I kind of see its knot coming off. And then I use multiple coats of Resolene, and that's called the top coat, and that will lock that down. Now there's another product that's really good, and it would be my next recommended product, but not for a belt. This is called Leather Balm, and it's something that has atom wax in it. And so atom wax, what happens when wax gets hot underneath studio lights, wearing it, whatever, it'll melt and stuff on you and can create rub off. So I do not recommend this product that has wax in it for your belt. This is basically made for saddles. And, a horse saddle rubs like this and can cause a few scratches and things. You can go buy a cactus out in Texas, but that atom wax will kind of melt in the sun and kind of refills that in. But you don't want it to melt on your belt. So I highly recommend Resolene. There's another product called Sadillac, and that's an aerosol spray. But as you can see, I'm back in an interior room. I have a full-blown room in my home dedicated to this, and I don't want to be spraying aerosol sprays and stuff like that. So if you're more comfortable with an aerosol versus a rub-on, Sadillac would be my the other thing I would use. The one other product is something called Tan Coat, and that'll work a lot like these. But the one thing is, it is a more of a satin finish, and I like to be able to buff mine up and make it look good. And to me that looked too dull and dingy for like Santa belts and things of that nature. So if you're having a problem with rub off, get the small bottle of Resolene. There we go. Is what I would recommend.
All right.
Now, before you answer Randall's question here, where would you pick that stuff up at? Do you order it online, on Amazon, go to a particular store?
You can get it on Amazon, Weaver Leather, Tandy Leather, Springfield Leather. It's easily available online. And I actually, this one right here, I bought from Amazon because it was a little cheaper. And I got free shipping. So
Yeah.
that's why I did that.
All right. So Randall's question was, do you recommend doing and using wax inside and outside of the belt?
First of all, Randall, yes, that belongs to you. Well, pretty soon.
He's working on yours, Randy.
Yours is on my bench right now. And but what I do is on the Resolene is I do not dye the inside of my belt simply because nobody sees this, and when you put all that dye right next to your suit, you're just inviting trouble. So I'll come around the top here, but I put this the blue painter's tape to minimize any dye that gets on. There you go, yeah, to minimize any dye that gets on the back, but.
I show that because I just got my belt. I just bought my new belt.
That's pretty. I like that. Where'd you get that sucker?
Well, you know what? I got it from Ken Kringle Creations.
Oh, it looks familiar. The post office did their job. But what I also do is on the inside of like your belt there, Michael, you just showed. It is also covered with Resolene because I want to make it as watertight as possible from potential sweat through. If you're in a parade or anything like that, I want to minimize up around that top line a little bit, and so I don't do any wax on the inside of a belt at all. I use Resolene.
All right, awesome. And then I had a follow up question for that. So here's a at least in my head a follow up question. So is there something, since Resiline's going to seal that, if I'm understanding correctly, all right, and you can give it a buff so that way you don't get the bleed into your suit. Do you recommend anything if you get some of that on your suit, the dye? Is there any? Do you know anything to help take that out of your suit if you get a little black spot from the dye?
I do not know of anything that will take dye out. And this is a problem with this is that one belt I showed you. This one belt takes me about 24 hours to do, and a lot of it has to do is because I got these berries there that are in ox blood, and then the green, and then the brown, and the black. And when when you are doing leather, think of trying to paint a leather dye on a paper towel or a napkin. The minute you touch it, it's going to bleed out through those fibers. Well, leather does the same exact thing. When you like put that dye on there, and I try to slide it up to the point of where I want it to stop, I run out of dye and I have to kind of start, all over. Uh, so dyeing that leather is very difficult.
Yeah, so that Resolene I see is so important. So how many coats would you recommend on the belt then?
Well, because I dilute mine, yours has about 5 or 6 coats on it, and what I do is I buff it in between each coat. I let it dry, and then I'll buff it and let it dry. And once I get 4 to 5 coats on there, I start looking to see if there's any area that I'm not really. I want to kind of put one more coat on there, and so then I'll just judge. Because sometimes if you keep trying to make it better, you make it worse.
Yep.
But so once I get 4 or 5 coats on there, and I see that it's where I want it to be, I stop. If I feel like this could be buffed up a little more, I may put a 6 coat on there. But somewhere 4 to 6 is generally good. But that's with it diluted too, by the way.
Okay, so Frank has a question. Is it because you were talking about the dye, getting the dye on the suit? Do you use or recommend a liner for the inside of your belt?
I don't. I mean, I can do. There's something called filigrees, and you can put liners and things of that nature. I don't. I don't really like to do that necessarily for a Santa belt. I mean, it can work for you and can be visually pretty and what have you. But to get the liner on there, you have to do a couple of things. You either use like your barge cement and put it under there, or you've got to like sew it in. And when you start doing the more things that you do to it, the more failure points you have. And if it fails in the middle of a photo shoot, or like you guys are at the Great Wolf Lodge and you're an hour into it and this thing's starting to come apart, it is to me it just adds too many potential things that could go wrong. And the way, since I don't dye the back of the belt and I put that Resolene on there, it has a fairly decent grip to it, and so it's not going to slide around a whole lot. And so I wouldn't want to put anything. You're generally going to line it with a suede, so that's still kind of grippy too. But I like to leave it with that natural side on there, so that
Right.
it grips and doesn't move around and stays in place a lot better as children are getting in and off of your lap.
Well, another question is, and this is going to be something too, is, Ken, what's your best recommendation for storing your leather belts?
Well, the is you want to kind of keep it out of the sunlight. Sunlight will damage it. Do not store it in plastic. It needs to breathe. It's porous. And one of the things and when it's sealed like mine is, most of the stuff will not even penetrate it anyway, unless there may be some little micro fractures or something in there. But it'll kind of help clean it. You can use like a little saddle soap or something like that. But generally, wiping it down and just keeping the dust off of it. If you're going to store it in any kind of a bag, don't store it in an enclosed plastic bag, because that moisture will get in there, and it can potentially absorb. if you feel like you're one of those people, I just got to do something, and periodically if mine get a little bit dull, there's a number of different things that you can use. But to me, bar none, and you can't see this, this is 100% neat's foot oil. And the reason that I use neat's foot oil, some people use olive oil. I've seen them. There's an oak wood leather conditioner that's actually pretty good. I would not use like a kiwi shoe polish on a belt buckle. Do not put anything like that. I would not put any kind of a wax for the aforementioned things that we have when I do my original top coat. But if you're going to put something like a neat's foot oil on there, be very sparing with it. One of the things I do is before I put the top coat on your belt, Michael, is I covered it in neat's foot oil and I let it sit for almost 2 days to let that neat's foot oil absorb in there, because sometimes when you're dyeing and doing these different things, the pro dye is an alcohol based dye, and you don't want to dry out your leather where it'll crack. So a little bit of that neat's foot oil, like I said, it may or may not even penetrate if the Resolene is still good and intact.
Right.
And if you do that, buff it out with a 100% cotton, cotton, not cotton poly or any blend like that. It has to be like a cotton. And then you can buff that out to make sure you got all that oil off there, or otherwise it'll just transfer to your suit.
Right. So when you're storing your belt, is it better to hang it up and let it long, or you can roll it up and it's not a problem?
It's generally not going to be a problem either way. I store mine hanging up, just so that everything is relaxed on it. But it's probably not going to make any real discernible difference on there. If it's if it's top coated right and it's dyed right, and it has a suitable amount of oil in there, it's probably going to be fine. But my preference is to let it hang so that you're not imparting any additional, just take the stress off of it.
Yep. All right. Wow, time is going quick.
I know, but Thomas Sheeran has.
I was wondering how are we going to talk this long about leather, but we can't get it all in.
Exactly. Thomas Sheeran asked, "Can you spit shine a black belt? I used to do that with my Police Sam Brown and Garrison belts using parade gloss."
I'm not familiar parade gloss. Now I was in ROTC and all that, and we spit shine our boots, but I was using kiwi polish and water with ice cubes in it and all that that type of thing. I don't like a polish or anything like that on a belt, and the big reason is rub off. Is I don't want to impart any, especially anything that has any color, and I don't know if that parade gloss is a clear. You could, but the one thing you would definitely want to do is take a white cloth for anything that you do, and you want to buff it until you see nothing come off of it. I probably got some cloth up here that have, if you can maybe see on some of these, where you see little bits of color still on there.
Yeah.
I keep buffing my belts until that comes off white when I'm done. And so anything that you do, I would buff it until nothing comes off.
Wow. I think he was referring to, like you were saying, Ken, the kiwi shoe polish.
Yeah.
Like
I don't like that. Now, shoe polish on your boots, knock your socks off on that, because your boots, unless you cross your legs, I was thinking about this before the show. I've never seen a Santa with their legs cross their boot up on their knee.
Because the belly gets in the way.
It would.
The belly gets in the way. Is that what you said?
Yes.
It's in my way too.
And so you can polish your shoes and boots that way, and those are going to be down. And especially you guys up north that are traipsing through snow and ice and stuff, you want to make sure that it's impervious to the weather.
That's
and
right.
that it's sealed up. And so all bets are off on that, because that is not going to be touching your suit, and it's not going to give you a problem with rub off. Maybe on your socks on the inside, but not on the outside.
Well, Herbie, why don't let's Wade and Scarlett of Santa's Closet give
Yep.
something away. How's that sound?
That sounds like a great idea.
Since its founding in 2004, Santa's Closet has been committed to providing unique, high-quality accessories for Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the entire Claus community. Our mission is to deliver exceptional customer service and outstanding value, offering competitive pricing and a wide selection of products designed to enrich the Claus experience.
All right.
Oh.
Herbie, you want to go over the rules?
I will go over the rules. Well, welcome to Trivia. And today we have one great question for you, but there are some rules. If you've won within the last 8 weeks, you're not eligible to win at this given time. Number 2, we can only ship to the continental United States. So if you live in Canada and Mexico, unfortunately, you cannot be one of our winners unless you have a local address that we can ship to you or a friend that may be able to get to you. So please refrain from using any type of assistance because I don't really think you're going to need one for this one. Did I cover it all?
This should be kind of easy. I thought this one I'm dedicating to you, Ken. I thought it was appropriate.
All right, Michael. You go ahead and chat. I am watching
you got
YouTube
all the
and
comments set?
Facebook, and we're off.
All right, and here's tonight's trivia question. What is Santa's name in both Switzerland and Germany right now, today? What do they call him? Oh, the quiet comes over the crowd.
Yeah, because you're all Googling.
Well, no, they're all Googling. So what's Santa's name? All
Don't
right.
be Googlies.
So this is maybe I should get some music or something.
No, Mike Connor's got a good answer, but it's not correct. And Ever came out with a good one too, but no, sorry, that's not the one we're looking for.
Oh wait, they're starting to come in now.
Oh, we got some German ones going on there
Super
as well.
Claus, nein, nicht so gut.
What he said.
In a little bit, I forgot. All of a sudden, I had to stop.
He had to
and
think.
Well, yeah.
You guys are making it very difficult here for yourselves. Think simple.
All right, should I give a hint?
No.
Remember, I dedicated it to Ken.
Yes. Almost.
I did. I dedicated it to you. Oh, we're getting close. I think this is our most stumped one.
Well, everybody's got some really good because, again, they're all going to St. Nicholas and Sinterklaas. But you have to remember, Sinterklaas was actually in, well, we have someone,
Cousin.
almost Santa Tom. You almost had it. You're just missing a first name. Same thing with Randall.
He's catching it off the hint. You're almost there, Tom. It's a two name.
Also, Randall, it's a race now. But remember, Sinterklaas is actually more Danish. So, and Everett, yes. Everett, well, that would be the Switzerland pronunciation. Because he's saying...
So is there a pronunciation?
Yeah, they're saying Semiclaus. And so I guess that's how you would pronounce it. Sorry, I don't... Oh, we finally got one. That was the one we were looking for. And that's Denver Lovejoy Jr.
Yeah,
Kris
we were
Kringle.
looking for Kris Kringle.
I told you all made it difficult. You know, me too. Then that goes back to the M&Ms.
So Kris
So we
Kringle
do have
is what
our
we were
window.
looking
We do have
for.
our winner. Excuse me. And what did I say who the winner was?
Denver. Denver Lovejoy.
Yep, Denver Lovejoy. So
So Deborah, if you'll do us a favor, if you'll send your first and last name and your address, so we can forward that to Wade and Scarlett. Oh, and also don't forget to put your shirt size there, depending. So sometimes they give T-shirts and stuff like that. If you'll send that information to Kringle Brothers 2 at gmail.com, we'll forward that to Wade, and he'll get your prize out. And thanks everybody for participating. That was awesome.
All right, just real quickly here, because we are 9 o'clock here, and we want to be very courteous to everyone's time. So, Ken, what we're going to do now, cousin, is actually go ahead and do a series of lightning round questions for you.
We're gonna try that. Awesome.
Yeah, we're going to do that here. So, Michael, what
I'm shocked you're really going to do it.
what we're going to do is I'm going to take the first 3, you take the next 4. Okay, you ready?
All right, go for it.
Christmas tree, real or fake?
Real.
Christmas tree lights, clear or multicolored?
Multicolored.
Blinking or solid?
Solid.
All right.
Favorite Christmas song?
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
I wanted to ask what chestnuts taste like. I've never had that. All right, and your favorite Christmas movie?
The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
And your favorite cookie?
White chocolate macadamia nut.
See, we got through all of that. So thank you, Ken, for joining us. Thank you for sharing the family and expanding our family tree. It's always good to have a Kringle.
Yep, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Just a reminder, please subscribe on YouTube and at Kringle Brothers, and then also follow us and like us. You know, I mean, it's like I think of Justin, right? In other words, if you've watched this long, go ahead and like it. You know?
Also, too, is here, Michael, why don't you bring up Ken's website once again? If you have any questions or you are interested in a new belt, look up on Etsy, Ken Kringle Creations. You know, his work is amazing. We would make him one of our master craftsmen for this. So, again, if you're looking for a new belt and you want quality, style, and individuality, see Ken Kringle.
Yeah, because any of your design, in other words, that's the one thing that I love about my belt when I started talking to Ken with this. You know, this is what I like. And so he literally took components that we discussed for a while on it and then designed a special belt for me. So there's no one else that has this, you know.
Nope.
I'm like Tigger. I'm the only one, you know.
Because Tiggers are wonderful.
I'm working on something new.
Ooh. All right. Now, a special thank you to the TNL Network, to Bob, Scott, Spangle, and Angela. Also to our lovely wives, Stacy and Linda, and to each and every one of you, our listeners.
Yeah, and Ken, thanks so much for coming on and sharing. I feel like we didn't get everything, so but yeah,
we may have to have a part 2.
Have another part 2 later on or something to talk about it, because I still have a lot of some care questions that I'm curious about in longevity and taking care of things. But we'll save that for another day.
All right, Michael.
So until next time. May all your days be jolly and your hearts always shine bright.
And may the magic of Christmas fill every aspect of your life.
And remember to be good for goodness sake.
Spread joy and share kindness to all you see.
Merry Christmas, everyone. And thanks
and to
for
all
watching.
a good night.
Party.
So just for those that have stayed around, here's a special sneak peek for next week. Our annual Mother's Day show.
We're going to start a new section.
We're going to start a new segment.
It's Herbie's Frosty Facts Face Off. Brain-freezing trivia, giggles guaranteed, and a flurry of fun coming your way. So it's Herbie's Frosty Facts Face
So you-
Off.
So you
Did
never
you say
know.
it was going to be Mother's Day?
Yep, we're going to do our Mother's Day show
Oh,
next
did I
week.
tell you what happened to my mother this afternoon?
No, what happened?
She coughed up a bishop, a pawn, and a rook. Doctor said it was just a chest cold, though.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I was hoping we were going to do that. I do need to run this real quick just because I promised that we're going to do it after Glow Party. And then after this, everybody, we'll see you next week.
How much did Santa pay for his sleigh? Nothing. It was on the house.